takes an idea and a drive to see that idea through to the end. I think that it's easy to start something and it's very hard to finish something. And it's something my dad always said, and that's something I take to heart. So I think that it just takes the perseverance to go from A to B, to see where you're going, and to walk through the dark and to get there on the other side.
Well, I've come to this investment event because I need investment for the company to achieve and implement the company's business plan.
I'm here because as the CEO of a new tech startup, it's super important that we get in front of as many people as possible to tell them what we're doing. We are connecting people who have space with people who need space. And so essentially we're the Airbnb for self-storage.
I've devoted much too much of my life to this project to give up at this stage.
Oh, sorry. Do you need help? All right, okay.
All right, we're good, right?
Yeah.
We're the co-founders of Space I Share.
So judges, the question is, what do all of these items have in common? Any idea?
Throw away?
Well, you might want to throw them away. But actually, these are everyday items that people really have a challenge finding space for.
Ah, yes.
And so this is why the self-storage industry is a $35 billion industry, and there are actually 34 million storage units in North America right now.
Now, storage isn't sexy or fun, but every piece of item, every item tells a story. Every box has something in it that is very valuable. So people hang on to these things because it's valuable to them. It might be junk to you, but it's valuable to them. And people are willing to pay big bucks to keep these belongings in their possession.
So here's the problem. People have stuff, lots of stuff, and they need space to put it all. Traditional self-storage facilities can be expensive and not always close to home.
So the solution with Space I Share is that we're not only helping the storage renter, but we're also helping people that own space. So for the renter, they go onto our platform, they browse listings in their neighborhood, and they can save up to 50% off self-storage costs. And for the space owner, now is a possibility to make money from the space you already have. Space like garages, sheds, fields, backyards, driveways. And so for us, our mission is that we want to create a community where people share space in a safe, trusted, and reliable environment.
Our platform is fully transactional, so that means hosts can easily accept or reject a renter's request to share their space. Also, when a renter and a host decide to share a space, we send out a legal document which both of them have to complete. And this requires them to list out all the precious items that they're putting into storage, what the rules are to access that space, and also share some government ID just so you know who you're sharing the space with. We know that liability is something that people think about. So one thing that we do is we have an assurance program, which we call the Space I Share Assurance Guarantee. We provide protection up to $2,500.
Space I Share takes a 15% service fee on every monthly transaction. And to date, most rental periods have exceeded 6 months.
So we have already raised $200,000 from various sources, government grants, and so now we are looking for $1 million for 25% of our company.
With that money, we will continue to grow our team of developers, sales, community outreach, as well as develop and execute our marketing plan for a rapid expansion in Canada and in the US.
We're Space I Share. Every corner counts.
You've got to get the message to the right people. And one of my, I wouldn't call it concerns, but one of the areas to further discuss is your marketing budget, because there's the whole supply and demand. You're going to sign up everybody that has the storage. You've got to communicate to them. That's got a cost. And then you've got to communicate to the people that want the storage. So I'd like to understand your marketing plan.
For artificial intelligence show, I didn't hear how you're using AI in your backend. So that was a big missing for me. I heard we've had shared economy businesses on this show before. I heard you have a better way of doing customer acquisition, but I didn't hear what the plan of the customer acquisition is. That was a missing for me.
Yeah, your valuation is a little bit off track, and we'd have to negotiate with you much harder than that to be able to give you $1 million to do what you want to do with that. There's the issue of liability. And not only that, people bringing their stuff to my house with cockroaches and things like that, I'm not too sure how you're going to handle that. Rodents and things like that.
Airbnb faced the same sort of psychological barriers,
Yeah.
and it still worked. So.
Yeah, and that's why
Yeah,
we
but-
actually leave it up to the host to decide whether they want to accept a renter. It depends on what type of stuff they're putting in there. And actually the host has the right to look through the renter stuff as they're moving it.
All right, cool. Thank you very much for being here, and we will talk with you a little later on and see how we end up doing something with you. Not too sure exactly yet what it is, but I have a couple ideas in mind.
In the healthcare markets, there's a pressing need for something radical which can reduce the cost of healthcare, but which can also make healthcare better. I'm here to present about our Stranic technology, which is a point-of-care technology. Point-of-care technologies are a bit in vogue at the moment. Our Stranic technology is a digital, cognitive software technology. It's based upon a mathematical model of how the brain regulates the body's function, in particular the autonomic nervous system. This has both diagnostic and therapeutic effect. Stranic comprises 2 software programs, Stranic Virtual Scanning, which is a screening technology able to define your health in a level of detail and sophistication which is really quite unprecedented in modern medicine. And also it comprises Stranic Light Therapy, a form of therapy which treats autonomic dysfunction. First of all, it determines 5 to 15 pathologies in each organ. Now there are 30 organs in the body, so the level of information which you get is really quite extraordinary. It can distinguish between your genotype and your phenotype. So in the case of diabetes, that would be between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It can determine the onset of medical conditions from their pre-symptomatic origins before you even get symptoms. And it can do so non-invasively in a 15-minute test, which is indicatively at a level of cost 5 to 10 times lower than contemporary methods of diagnostic testing. Our aspirations for the business are what you would expect. We're trying to grow a business. It's a healthcare company, so we're trying to make the technology available to the market so that it can help people to know what their health is better than they currently do, and to be able to do something about it. So to make this happen, the company has recognized the need to have about £3.5 million, $5 million US dollars, if you wish, of working capital to be able to implement the business plan.
Graham, a quick question. For the 3.5 million, what are you giving up in terms of equity?
We've, as a company, believe that we will negotiate with a supplier an appropriate shareholding. We think that 40% is a reasonable shareholding that would make any investors the dominant shareholder, and it would make the 2 current shareholders minority shareholders.
What's the go-to-market plan? Is it me, the customer, me as a consumer, I'm buying for it? I'm sending this information to my doctor, Or are you going to a bunch of doctors? Like, what's the go-to-market plan?
Well, the most ideal scenario for us is that it's used in primary care. That's the ideal location. But there's nothing to stop us actually placing the technology online and going directly to the client.
I'm going to give you more clinical diagnosis. I think you might have some great science. I'm not sure. But I am sure you're not a great storyteller. You're selling investors and not doctors. So what you really need to do is the following. I don't understand what your product is. I don't know if it's a machine, it's a scanner, is it a software program? You got to start off and tell me what your product is. Then you got to tell me, here's the problem that needs to be solved and why, and here's how we solve it better than anyone else. I don't know if this is part of an annual checkup. I don't know if somebody diagnosed with a problem, I'm going through some kind of scanning test to find the source of the problem. And then the missing piece, and Taimur and Sai alluded to it, we're investors. So I go back to one of my favorite movies, Show Me the Money, right? Who's going to pay for this? And why do they want to pay for it, right? Am I going to save money because I'm the government? Or I'm a big, medical treatment conglomerate? Am I going to make money because every time I'm a doctor and I send somebody on a scan, I'm making a profit like an X-ray lab? I haven't seen the money.
HitBlocks is an online web platform for developers to build products that incorporate human intelligence quickly and reliably. So to extend on that and to kind of talk about where we came from, I'd like to tell you a story about where we started. And that was in the spring of 2014. I met my co-founder, Bijan Mauji, who's here with me today. And I met him on LinkedIn. I contacted him because he was one of the few people around me who was interested in what I was interested in. And it was during that time that we kind of came to understand just how difficult it is for two kids in a garage with a dream and a vision to build these kind of artificial intelligence products. You see, when you start, there's a big problem. You start out and you need data to build a product, but you get your data from your customers, and your customers won't give you their data unless you have a good product. So what do? There's a chicken and an egg cycle there. And so what we did to get around that was we threw up a curtain. We were going to do it behind the scenes ourselves. We were going to have people send us documents, and we were going to process them manually, and then we were going to send them back. And that works until you get a shipment of 500 documents, and you spend a couple nights up late, one too many coffees, a little bit too jittery, and you come to understand that that's not a scalable solution. And so we went back to the drawing board, and we decided that we were going to use crowdsourcing as a way to prototype our artificial intelligence technology. So we were going to have humans behind the scenes that were operating on these documents and passing them back off. We were then going to collect the data and use those examples to train the AI. And that's where the idea for HitBlocks comes from. The HIT in HitBlocks stands for Human Intelligence Task. And it's a way of passing these tasks off to crowdsourced workers in a way that lets you get started quickly and has a robust solution that's going to work over the long haul. And the philosophy behind this product is that it allows two kids with a dream in a garage to compete against Google, to compete against Facebook. You don't need a silo of data to get started. You just need an idea and a vision. And that's what we believe in, is bringing this kind of commoditization that happened in the software as a service industry and bringing it to artificial intelligence. And what we're here today to ask is for $700,000 for 20% of the company. And that $700,000 is going to take us a year of development to build out a robust solution so that we're not just targeting hackers and entrepreneurs, but we're targeting professionals who are already building services for businesses.
Yeah, so listen, I think you've described the pain and who's feeling it. It's the AI early developers. What I'm not sure of yet is, are they willing to have the pain taken away? You suggest they are. My question is, how much? And how many of those people are out there are feeling the pain and willing to pay for it at a revenue model that makes sense? Those are the questions I'm not sure of yet.
When you talked about what you would do with our money, I didn't even hear you saying, and I want to go get a stellar team management team in place so that you get your return on investment. That was one part that was missing for me.
Well, one of the ways we can work with you is probably not the capital, because your valuation of your company is like way out of whack. Because you're offering too little for the money that you're asking, obviously, right? You know that. So we'd have to negotiate with you something there. There are a lot of companies that we work with that we're investing in that could use what it is that you're doing to supplement what they're up to. So we will have a chat with you some more.
Evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Noel. Thank you for visiting us again. We've been talking, obviously. We had some questions and concerns and thoughts about your presentation. First of all, your evaluation for a company that has not generating a lot of revenue. You're valuing your company at $3.5 million, starting out in a garage. How did you come up with that?
We spent a lot of time and effort in what we've invested in, and we have a good advisory board that has backed us. And we also have a token investment from a family friend and friends round that was raised at a $2 million valuation just about 6 to 8 months ago.
So you have $2 million that you've already raised?
No, we have 10,000 that we've raised at a $2 million valuation. So a small token amount.
10K is not a big risk amount. I'll give you 10 grand tomorrow too. And although both of you are very entrepreneurial minded, obviously you're very articulate. At the same time, the risk of our capital going into a venture such as this. So one of the things that we can offer you is this: that your structure has to be in alignment with our capital coming in, and JR, our in-house counsel, can sort of guide you more about that. Is there things that you want to add?
Yeah, I gave you a list out there of things that you have. I don't know how many of those things you have, but I would definitely go down that list and make sure that at the basic level you have those documents, because anybody that's going to give you money is going to want those basic documents.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and
Thank you.
presenting to us and being articulate the way you were. It was great to have you.
Thanks so much for your time and all the resources that you've given us. If everybody else didn't care about what you were building, would you still build it? And if you can answer yes to that, then I think you will easily pick yourself up no matter what kind of trough you get into.
Hello.
How are you?
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right.
Yeah, so as again, when you first did the presentation, as I said, I had trouble understanding the story. I think I get it now. The product is really color, vision, and light as a marker for certain illnesses. So it's a diagnostic that uses color and light to tell me if I've got certain medical challenges. The flip side of that is you can also use color and light as a treatment source for some of those illnesses. Have I sort of captured it in sort of the elevator pitch?
I won't get picky, but we're generally there.
But that's generally that's the space. It's more science and medicine for us than it is technology. Like, your likely investors are people that would understand the medical advance. It's difficult for me and the team here to really understand what you truly have. What we could help you with, however, is articulating the story so everybody gets it. And the second piece of the puzzle is building it into a proper revenue model, because I think investors really want to understand, okay, you've got this science, you have this technology, we've tested it out, we now know that the science or the medicine work with doctors, but what is the model to generate revenue?
For sure. Although we're saying no to the capital at this point, we can definitely help you in taking a look at how we can position you better, as Howard said. The other thing too is that we have wellness labs, wellness centers that we have throughout Canada, United States, and offshore, where this technology could be used as a diagnostic tool to come in. So we may be able to plug you into those ones now, allowing us to be able to see real time how this works, and then expand from there our relationship.
You have to be able to stick at something, pursue it, and ultimately make it happen. It must also involve an immense amount of luck.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you.
All right.
I think you guys really figured out how you want to run the company. You've got the experience, you've got the determination, you've done the due diligence, and to me that's the most important factor. I'd rather have a great jockey and a sort of weak horse, which is the product.
Right.
I don't know if the product's weak. I'm not suggesting that it is. It probably needs a little bit more training.
Right.
Okay, but I have faith in the jockeys that the training can get done.
Okay.
And the other piece is the race. We know about the value of the shared economy, and there's been other models like the Airbnb, and we were calling you the Airbnb of storage. Makes a lot of sense as an analogy. So we know the race is worth it. So when you're ticking off race and jockey and a pretty good horse for training, I think you guys are in great shape.
Yeah, the thing is that we had some concerns as far as the legality of having people store stuff at other people's places.
Sure.
And so what we can do is maybe give you some help in the realm of looking at your contract, number one.
Yeah.
And our in-house counsel can give
Sure.
that to you as a gift, saying, listen, let's make it more teethy in case there is a is a problem, right?
Yep.
We would look at maybe a couple of $100,000, maybe up to $300,000 at this point.
Okay.
To see what we could do with that.
Okay.
We have to do some due diligence, obviously. And the legal side is very important to us because we don't want you to end up in a legal issue.
Yep.
So having said that, that's where we can start.
Okay.
And then based on that, then we can go forward.
Okay.
Yeah?
Great.
All right.
Yeah, wonderful. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. If you are requiring a steady paycheck, if you are requiring any kind of money coming in the door, then startup is not for you. I'm not a 20-year-old who's eating ramen noodles, but I do have 2 daughters to support. My husband's also an entrepreneur, so we're both equally as crazy and probably stupid. But if you have that passion to create something, then I don't think you should let anything stop you.